Hello, my amiable students. In this lesson, we are going to be dealing with cross-section or drawing of cross-sectional profile from topographic relief. In our lesson objective, we are going to be looking at how to determine or identify vertical interval, how to identify vertical equivalent, how to identify horizontal equivalent, as well as how to draw the cross profile proper. We are also going to look at various slope forms as well as intervisibility. What is a cross profile or a cross-sectional drawing? A cross-sectional drawing is simply a three-dimensional representation of the flat contours that represent relief inside a two-dimensional map. First, you have to determine the vertical equivalent from the contour interval that is given to you. Then after that, that vertical equivalent can be multiplied in order to make the relief profile or cross section to be realistic. If you look at this mumbo jumbo of a map, you will not be able to understand what relief form it will make. To understand the relief form that it will make, you need to make a 3D representation of the actual landform that will show the relief of this given topography. The examiner will use a line to show where the cross section will be drawn. Let's assume from A to B. If a horizontal line is drawn across a topographical section with A and B, this is only a horizontal equivalent. So you need to use the contours or the contour interval to make a vertical equivalent. But most of the time, if you make an exaggeration to the vertical section, it will make the relief form to be realistic. A to B on the horizontal distance is 10 centimeters. And the vertical equivalent is only 5. You need to make an exaggeration by doubling the line or doubling the interval to compensate or to be equal to the horizontal equivalent. So if you draw a line of 10 or 11 centimeters instead of 5, that will now be a vertical exaggeration because each centimeter is now doubled in length. So after doing that, you need to put a scale to help the examiner to understand what you are doing. So you make a scale of 2 centimeters is equal to 100 meters depending on the contour interval. After harvesting each contour from A to B, you will now place them on the horizontal equivalent and use a line to mark each contour to the height with which they represent. So on the vertical equivalent or the vertical exaggeration, you will turn 2 centimeters to 100 meters depending on the contour interval. For each centimeter, you will now have a unit of 100. So the first will be 0 at sea level. The second will now be 100 meters. $200, $300, $400, as the case may be. Then, if you are taking the vertical exaggeration to match the contours, if this first contour is 100 meters and the contour interval is 100, the next contour should be 200, the other 300 respectively. If the contour is not numbered, you trace it to where it is numbered. If the contour is not numbered at all, you know that it's an index contour and you assume the number based on the contour interval. So you only harvest the line with the paper in the contour intervals. In making the relief profile, you will now use their markings. If this falls in 200, this falls in 300, this falls in 300, this 600, the next 600, and the other 400, the other 300, the other 200, and the next 100, and the other 100, and the other a river, the other 100, and the other 200, and the other 300. You will now make a marking to show the contour as a graphical representation. Then you will shade the under to show the realistic form of the 3 dimension. So this will give you the relief form as well as information on the slope types. So you can easily tell that this slope is even or deep or steep, while the other is either deep or steep. So that, my friend, is the graphical representation of your flat 2-dimensional map surface. So what you have done is actually taken as either a cross section or a cross profile. So let's now hear from other authorities in this area.
Hi and welcome to this lesson. Today I'll explain to you how to draw a cross section of a certain area on a contour map. So let's zoom in on the map and see how it's done. So here you can see the contour lines. Bear in mind that if you see a number 20 over there, then it means every single place on this contour line over here is 20 meters above sea level. Doesn't matter where you go. You might also find that there is a note on your map telling you exactly what the contour interval is. Now, what I'm going to do first is to put a piece of paper exactly on this line over here. We know that this line is 20 meters above sea level. So here's where we're going to write 20. And let's do the same on the other side. Okay, then we move to the next line. We know the interval is 20, so we write 40. These ones are quite close, so I'm going to draw this line down. And then the next one we know is 60. Then we go to 80, 100, 120, and then as we can see, this line here is 140. This is once again going to be 140. Now here is where you must make a note to remind yourself that this area here between these two lines, or where these lines cross the horizontal line, is higher than 140 unless there's something strange going on there. But so make a plus here. Very important to place your piece of paper properly and make sure it doesn't move, otherwise your cross section won't be accurate. Right, let's go to step number 2. Okay, step number 2. Now once again, it's very important not to let your paper slip. And here we have 20, so you just make a little marker there. Same on the other side. I just want to make 100% sure that I'm working accurately. Now we are going to move them up. Make sure that you line up your piece of paper as accurate as possible. And here is where we are going to make the next marker. There we can see this is 40. 40 is over there. And then we move the paper up once more, up to 60. So now we are simply going to connect these markers. Here's 20. This is a very steep slope, as you can see. Now, here is where you have to guess more or less what the top of the hill looks like. So you can do it however you want, and that is your cross section. Thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, and don't forget to watch my other map work videos. See you next time.
Then in WAEC, there are some other questions that can be related to cross profile. They might ask you, in the cross profile that you have drawn, which points are intervisible or non-intervisible to one another. Then you might also be asked, what type of relief form is the relief drawing that you have made in the 3D form? Like for example, a concave slope is intervisible both at the base and at the top, while a convex slope is non-intervisible. A plateau and the adjacent lowland, they are intervisible to one another, while where you have ridges and other parts, they are non-intervisible. Then we have also seen that on a ridge, the 3 points at the top are intervisible, while a part of the spur and a part on the other part of the relief form is non-intervisible. So keep a date with us for next topic.